Hi, in this session we'll discuss pivot graphs and then we'll discuss some of the basic pivot table options. Now the pivot table graphs are no different to what we have looked at so far, but when we'll go through them you'll see the advantage of a pivot table graph over a normal graph. So I've got the sum of salary over here and I've got the number of employees across age groups. Let's insert a chart. Let's say I want to insert a column chart. Just Now the scale of employees and the salaries, it's completely different. Employees are just in single digits, whereas salaries are in thousands. So let me just put the salaries on a secondary axis. Format data series, secondary axis. And for the primary one, let's just change series chart type. Employees can be a line. And now I'll click on OK. And I can have my legend on top. I'll just zoom in a bit. Now what is different in this particular chart as compared to a normal chart is that you've got filters over here, and this is similar to the filters what we have in the pivot. So you can apply filters over here and you can immediately see the change in trend. Whereas for a normal chart, if you want to again and again change the source data, you'll have to either create a number of charts with different combinations of data, say one for female, one for male, and one for both male and female. But over here in a pivot chart, we can just use these filters and see the impact they have on the trend. Similarly, you can apply filters over here also. Let's look at another graph. So now for UK, I've got the sum of salaries for male and female, and for USA again, I've got sum of salaries female, male. Let's plot this on a graph. Over here on the primary vertical axis, you've got the salaries. Now, this particular graph shows that the female population in both UK and US, they are outperforming the male population in terms of salaries. But the female population in US earns more than their counterparts in UK as well. So similarly, you can try and insert other charts on the basis of data you are trying to summarize over here. Now let's look at some of the pivot table options. Whenever you click on pivot table, a design conceptual tab starts to appear. Let me just change the data accordingly. We put age also over here. So now I've got for UK, I've got these different ages which are appearing. Similarly for, let me just zoom out a bit. Similarly for US, you've got these different ages appearing. Now if I go to design, right now as you can see you've got subtotals appearing for the UK population, you've got subtotals appearing for the US population as well. So you can remove the subtotals, you can add the subtotals. Let's just keep them at the bottom. Then you can remove the grand totals. Report layout, this is just about changing the layout, not going into it. Insert blank line after each item. So just so as soon as we are done with the UK, it inserts a blank total. Similarly, after US, it inserts a blank total. But there is no need of it. So let's just remove it. Again, go to design. If I untick row headers, see the difference. Column headers, banded rows, banded columns. And from here you can change the color of your pivot table. Got these different options. Let's just go with this. Analyze tab. We had seen filters over here using name or gender. Let's put marital status also over here. Insert slicer. Slicer is another way by which you can apply filters in a pivot, and all you need to do is suppose you want to add in a filter, say on the basis of age. So you'll click on OK. Now you can add in more slicers. So just click on it, analyze, insert slicer. Let's say on marital status. Okay. So if I want to place a filter over here, so as you can see immediately it changes. Now I can apply multiple items also. So this is a very neat technique rather than going over here again and again and selecting items from the drop down. If you want to remove slicers, you can just go over them and click on delete, or you can clear the filter first and then delete. Now because for the first slicer which we had deleted, the filter was still there, so now we'll have to remove that filter. So we'll go to row labels. So now because in rows we've got two variables, country and age, so we need to select age, and then we need to untick clear value from age, and that is the way you can remove filters. Speaking of filters, you can apply filters from here also. Label filters will apply labels on country or age, the two variables which we have over here. So as you can see, the US one gets removed. Now you can clear the filter. There is another option which I will discuss over here, is the group ungroup options. Let's go to another data set I have over here. I've got daily expenditure data. Click on insert. Okay. As soon as I drag and drop date from here, all my dates have been grouped in quarters, and then in quarters also in months. This is something which does not happen by default in the older versions of Excel but does happen in 2016. So you can ungroup them by selecting this. Now I've got all the dates over here. You've got almost 547 dates, but it does become difficult to look at all these dates separately. So it's always better to group them. So let's go to analyze, group selection, and you can choose your own selection over here. So let's select months and years. Let's zoom out a bit. So now I've got data for 18 months over starting from 2015 onwards, and then I can just look at the cost. And then I can just insert to just look at any change in trend. So these were some of the options in pivot tables, and as in when you start using pivot tables more, you'll get more comfortable with them, and then you will be able to use these options more efficiently. Now following this video, we definitely have this data also available for you to just try out these things what we've just gone through. And I have also given you a case study. The case study has data for genuine and fraud customers. All you need to do is you need to analyze the data using a pivot table and try and identify a segment where the fraud customers are present. And once you are through the case study, if you have any questions or any queries, just drop me a note. Thank you.